Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So apologize. Missed the morning bell, but here it is. So today, of course, let's talk about the green market. Yes, we have some green today. So let's talk about that. And let's talk about what's going on with major exchange, Huobi. What's going on with it? There's been several developments. And of course, I have to bring up its founder, well, not founder, owner, Justin Sun, because he's been very controversial over the years. So let's talk about that as well and other things going on in the world today. So good morning, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Looking at the U.S. market, looking fantastic today. Like I said, very, very green. And that's because we got some economic data that helped propel things up. But it's actually not good data. Again, we're in this bizarro world where bad economic data equals good for markets and vice versa. So the reason why we were actually in the red this morning, and the reason why things flipped upwards was because data came out showing wages has not gone up as much as expected. So wages started to taper out. Right? Normally, in a strong environment, you would like to see wages go up. But right now, that's not the case because we're in a bizarre world where we want to see weakness, and weakness somehow drives things up. And strength drives things down, right? So we're actually propelled today by some weakness. So yeah, there's that, right? So far, so good for this early morning. The Eurozone inflation also slides down from 10%, so double digits down to 9.2%. So those of you guys that are in Europe, maybe you're starting to feel a little bit better about energy prices, about gas prices and natural gas prices and just heating overall, cooling off. I don't know if heating's a thing because it may get colder from now on, right? But maybe some of you guys could chime in and comment whether or not energy has been cooling off a little bit, right? But overall inflation is going down. UK also reported inflation going down. These are great things. Let's hope it continues towards the latter half of this year. It's still very, very strange to me that we are in 2023 already. 2022 was a horrible year, but we flew by really quickly, in my opinion. What else is going on? Tesla is taking a beating once again. Another 52-week low. I mean, that's horrible. Horrible. Another 7%, 8% because they decided to cut their prices in China and other markets. Okay, South Korea, Japan, and even Australia. And of course, people are speculating the only reason why they're doing this is because demand is soft, right? It's quite that simple. Why else would you cut prices, right? Competition is very fierce in China. There's other major EV manufacturers, right? But overall, since we're in 2023 and since 2022 has been so bad, people are more or less spending less, right? Trying to save more, and less people are inclined to make a big purchase like buy a new Tesla. So this is why Tesla is in another free fall this morning. But, you know, it's not just Tesla. You look at this report, you know, automakers had the worst sales in 2022 in more than a decade, okay? This is contributed to supply chain issues, excuse me, supply chain issues and also weakness in demand because of all the rates going up, and because people have less money, right? It's that simple. So it's not just Tesla. Even though all these news make it seem like Tesla is done for, but keep in mind Tesla still had a 40% growth in 2022. No other manufacturer had any growth at all, right? So Tesla stands as the sole automaker that's still growing by 40% every year, while everything else is declining. So put that into perspective, right? All right, now let's talk about what's going on with Huobi, because there's some, actually not some, there's a lot. There's a lot of fear this morning, and it affects several projects, and of course, it all revolves around Justin Sun, who I've always said I don't quite trust. So today it came out that Huobi is going to lay off 20% of its staff. This itself is not unusual because Coinbase also laid off a lot of people. Crypto.com laid off a lot of people. Kraken laid off a lot of people, right? It seems like only Binance has not laid off any people. So Huobi laying off 20% isn't that unusual. But what is supposedly Justin Sun, since he has taken over Huobi, the previous owner sold completely out to Justin Sun. So Huobi is now an exchange that Justin owns, and it's not he owns a couple of them, but this is definitely the biggest. But now it's been reported that he is communicating to employees that, hey, you have to take USDT or USDC, and if you cannot take it as your salary, then goodbye, basically. Okay, so this is kind of controversial, right? It's good to pay employees in crypto, but when you force them that they have to take it, well, then that scratches head, and that makes people think, are they really that desperate? Are they really out of cash? And now they have to, utilize their reserves? What's going on there, right? So there's that. But also, you see a massive amount of assets being removed from Huobi. That's the major concern, right? The first two, you could just dismiss it. But now we're seeing all of a sudden a ton of tokens come out of Huobi, and people are paying attention. Why is this happening? When this article was written, it showed that Huobi had a net flow within the last 24 hours of 64 million, right? So I decided to check it myself. Right now, Huobi does have 2.8 billion in assets, which is a lot, right? So we're not at bank run type scenario right now, but it is concerning that you see the daily P&L is now have dropped to 127 million. So that 60 something net flow out has turned into 120 something net flow out, right? So it's starting to escalate. And again, people are putting it all together, right? With Huobi laying off employees, forcing people to take stable coins. Now you're seeing this outflow increase. People don't like what they're seeing. And that's not all. I mean, this is all coming out like the same day. Justin himself has transferred 200 million from Binance to his own personal wallet. Not to Huobi, not to anywhere else. He transferred 200 million. That I think that belongs to either him or Huobi. He transferred to his own personal wallet. Now, he may just do that and then transfer into Huobi because he sees an outflow. I don't know what his plans are. But again, with everything else that's going on, a little questionable, right? Why would you just take out 200 million and put it into your own? And of course, Justin Sun is also the founder of Tron, and people are scared. That's why Tron today is actually down like 7 or 8%. 7%. It's recovering a little bit. So people are fearful that something's going on with Tron. And Tron also has a stablecoin, an algorithmic stablecoin that has depegged once again, USDD. Now, USDD also has controversy because Justin Sun basically looked at the UST model with Luna and copied it. Exactly. It's an algorithmic stablecoin and it ties into Tron. The good thing about this is USDD is nowhere near as big as UST. So to save the peg is much easier. And over the last year or so, Justin has deployed a lot of capital to save the peg. But still, one wonders, is it even worth having USDD and have this worry? But there's that. So that is ongoing, and Tron is also affected. But overall, I've always said I don't quite trust Justin Sun. He came out of nowhere in 2017. He made Tron skyrocket, and ever since then, there's been a lot of questions, question marks, questionable moves. There was a bombshell article about another exchange that he bought back in the day, Poloniex, which is from the U.S., and that exchange has basically died. No one uses it, and there was a lot of questionable things that was written about how KYC was really relaxed. And there's a lot of stuff that he was doing behind the scenes with Tron, with BitTorrent. because he did also buy BitTorrent. I mean, there was just a lot of things swirling around, right? And Justin, of course, is no fan of Ethereum. So even when Ethereum was moving to proof of stake, right, and there was a leftover chain, the new proof of work chain, that no one really wanted to support, but guess who was the first one to support it? ETH. He created a symbol even before it came out, just because he wanted to try to cause chaos for Ethereum, and luckily it went nowhere, but still, you know, he was trying to stir up the pot, and not a whole lot of people like that either. So anyways, bottom line is this. There's definitely something brewing here at Huobi now that Justin Sun has taken over. So just be careful, because he has ruined a lot of projects in the past. Look at BitTorrent. After BitTorrent was acquired, it just went nowhere. And every other project that he has acquired, like PolioNex, went nowhere, right? So now that he owns Huobi, who knows what he's going to do next. And I didn't want to mention this, but there's some rumors too that he may have had a hand in Luna's collapse too. Days before UST depegged, Justin Sun himself tweeted that he bought $2 billion worth of, or he held $2 billion worth of UST, and he was going to do something with it. He even tweeted that. He's like, watch out. Guess what I'm going to do next? Or something like that. And even Do Kwon responded with a question mark like, okay, what do you plan on doing? And this was days before UST depegged. So it makes you wonder if he had a role in that as well. So just be careful. Be careful. Now, speaking of another controversial figure, to say the least, SBF seeks to keep grasp on his $450 million shares. So he still argues that he controls that 7.6% stake in Robinhood because he bought it legit, utilizing a loan that he took from Alameda Research. So he's arguing that that loan is legit, and you can't assume that all funds are fraudulent, are legitimate, right? So it's kind of funny that he's still trying to argue on this. And his reasoning is he needs the money for legal fees, right? This is coming from a guy who just did an interview not too long ago saying, I own nothing. I have nothing other than a credit card and $100,000. He failed to say that, oh, I have $450 million worth of Robinhood shares, right? He admitted that in all his interviews, but now he's fighting hard to keep that. So what else has he been hiding, right? But this is, of course, very, very difficult decision for courts because, yes, he did get a loan, and yes, he did buy it under another company, Emergent, along with Gary. But is that loan is the loan valid, let's just say, because Alameda itself took customer assets, right? So how do you determine whether that loan was legit using non-customer assets? I mean, it's hard to determine. And here's the kicker too. Sam Bankman-Fried and Caroline both pledged these shares with BlockFi because they took out a loan with BlockFi. So BlockFi is fighting that they should have the loans. They put this down as collateral, right? So BlockFi is fighting to get this too. So very, very confusing. Very confusing, but yeah, that's the latest. And I don't know how Robinhood feels. Think about that. Robinhood is like, WTF, you know, we just sold some shares and now they're pulled into this FTX drama too. So it kind of sucks for them. And I see people talking about BONK. I did warn you guys. I told you guys that whenever you have a whole bunch of people starting to hype about some project that's pumping up to the moon, well, that's usually an indicator of top. So now the developers of this meme coin on Solana, they're desperate. So they burned $5 trillion or 5 trillion tokens, equaling about $1 million of their own BONK tokens to try to save it, to try to make it not dump. Well, that has not worked out so far. In the last 24 hours, it's down 45%. And I told you guys this. Whenever something goes up this fast, this much, and then you see people in a live chat, you know, talk about, go buy BONK. You know, that's usually a top. So I did warn you guys, hopefully, a lot of you guys still have time to get out of this because I don't think this is going to be another SHIB or another Doge. Many projects have tried and failed. I think people still cling on hope that, hey, one of these will turn out to be the next SHIB, because we all know that SHIB went on a crazy run in 2021 and actually stood there. It didn't actually dump. So I do think a lot of people think that, hey, I need to get into the next meme coin because it could be the next SHIB, right? But keep in mind, there may never be another SHIB ever again. It could have been a one-off, right? So don't let your I guess, FOMO lead you to something that you're going to regret dearly in the future. So let's just put it that way. What else is there? Well, I guess this is good news. Mt. Gox repayment delayed from July to September. So we don't have to worry about this for another 9 months. So Mt. Gox has been delaying the repayment from the hack back in 2014. I think 2014 or earlier, maybe 2012. I forget when the exact date is, but the repayment has been pushed back by several months, so gives us time to recover, right? Because obviously, if we have a massive sell-off during weakness, it's not going to be good. But if we have a sell-off during good times, then it's just going to be eaten up, right? So I think overall, this is good that we're getting some breathing room. What else is good? Ethereum, the next upgrade labeled Shanghai, will have Ethereum unstaking built in because this is controversial. A lot of people started to say, well, there's security because they don't allow people to unstake. So I think Vitalik and team heard that, and they're making sure that you can unstake if you wanted to with this next update, which should start in March. So it's not too long from now. But if you're looking at projects from highest to lowest staking, you'll see that Ethereum is actually among the lowest. For a proof of stake chain, there's only 14% of supply that's staked. So you actually want more staking. Compared to BNB, it's shocking, 90% staked. ADA, Cardano, 72% staked. Sol, 68%. Avalanche, 62%. DOT, a little bit lower, 46%. Those are high numbers, and ETH right now is only at 14%. But imagine if ETH gets up there to 50 or 60% staked, and along with coin burning, man, that's going to make the whole chain really deflationary. So maybe one day, and hopefully with this unlock, people are not like massively unlocking and selling. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it's been rumored that that may happen. And then lastly, of course, for Bitcoin, I'm just going to show one metric. Number of addresses holding one Bitcoin becoming a Wholecoiner, skyrocketing up to the moon, right? More and more people are taking advantage while prices are low, and that's the way to do it. You buy low and sell high, right? But you could see that graph just going up very fast now, like a SpaceX rocket to the moon. So that's good. All right, that's pretty much it for today. Bitcoin is a little bit lower, only $70 lower than yesterday. Bitcoin is still holding strong. The entire market down slightly, 0.34%, right? Not a whole lot of movement today. I would say Tron's fall is the biggest movement. And as for the U.S. market, a little bit lower than when I started the stream, but still holding green. Let's see what happens. And Tesla has recovered. It was down like 7%. Now it's down to 3%. So maybe Tesla found that bottom right around $100. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let's see here. Scrolling up, Papa Bear Studio, new member. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Jan, I have no clue about CryptosRUs and Logan Paul. Luckily, I was never in it, never heard about it, so I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, to be fair, a lot of projects went down majorly. Doesn't mean that they were a scam. Some turned out to end horribly, but a lot of projects are down, right? So I'm not sure just because something goes down, you just like label it as a scam automatically. But I did not keep up with this whole drama with it. All right. Any news with Stellar? No, in fact, I have not heard anything about Stellar. Nothing recently. So Stellar, that's why I've always been neutral on Stellar. Because there doesn't seem to be any clear direction. On one hand, they want to compete with XRP and, you know, become a bridge currency between different financial institutions and different currencies. On the other hand, they want to go into smart contracts. And then on the other hand, they also want to go into the CBDC space and help countries produce stable coins. So they're kind of all over the place, you know. I don't see they have a clear direction of where to go. A0 keeps building a smart contract soon. Okay, good for them. What do you think about Alameda Research joining the SEC in regards to Binance acquiring Voyager? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Alameda is not doing anything. They're not doing any acquiring. They're going to be shut down. So I'm not quite sure what you mean, MCT. Any news on Wire? The only news is that they're shutting down. That's the only thing. So everyone that's been using Wire or has integration Wire is saying to stop. You know, they're going to stop integration. They're going to stop support. So, not sure what happened with them. They were supposed to get a big funding. Whoever pulled out, and I guess they just ran out of money. George, once they unlock, more people will stake ETH because lockup period won't be so ridiculous. People want flexibility. You know what? That's a good way to look at it. You know, some projects allow you instant unlocking. Some projects wait, you know, make you wait 7 days or 30 days. But I do think that that plays a factor. So I think that's the right way to look at it. Yeah, that could actually help. Quaz says, I've lost 10K in BONK. I'm sorry to hear that, but, you know, you should have known better. Explain Pi not work on CoinGecko. I don't know what you're referring to. The market cap is off or something. Do you think Core Scientific will survive? And if so, is it good buy under 10 cents? They'll probably survive, but they're not going to be nearly as strong as before. So just because they're down like 99% and you think it's a good buy, I'm not so sure. I wouldn't. I'd rather buy stock in one of the other mining companies. What's your opinion on Atom right now? I'm still a big fan of Atom. Have been for a while. I still think they have a lot of potential, and I still think they're good. Alameda Research is chiming in that Binance should inquire. no one really cares about what Alameda is saying. All right. They were led by scammers, and they have no opinion. No one cares about their opinions. Wait, isn't BDC linked to Wired? No. No. They were just a fiat on-ramp system. That's all they were. BDC itself isn't a company. It isn't linked to anything. Services could offer Bitcoin on-ramp or off-ramp, or projects and business could buy Bitcoin, but they're not tied to Bitcoin. I think you're confused there. If you had real estate as merely an asset right now, would you sell or wait and hold? Might dip big this year. Well, that's the same thing with any other assets, not just real estate, with Bitcoin, with Tesla stock, with stocks, with anything. Why is this person spamming? All right. You take the risk that as soon as you sell, that things recover, right? And then you're going to regret it, and then you're going to want to buy back. For real estate, obviously, the market is less liquid. You can't sell a house and buy a house back immediately. It takes time. But I don't know. I have a feeling real estate will get softer. The whole market will get softer, but we're not going to go back to pre-2020 levels. Unless the U.S. market completely crashes into a deep, deep recession and people are forced to sell, then maybe. But right now, it doesn't seem like that's the case. Consumer demand, even though has softened, still strong. Real estate demand has softened for sure, but still much stronger. Prices are still stronger, and no one wants to sell a house when their mortgage is below 3% in interest versus 6-7% now. Right? So I think real estate, I don't think we're going to see much movement. We could see a little bit lower movement, but I don't think we're going to drop to pre-2020 levels. Orange Lambo, I did a whole video yesterday. I'm not sure what else you want from it, but I did last night's video about it. One new Tesla video. I was actually working on one last night, but I thought it was kind of lame, so I didn't post it. But you guys heard about this one Tesla that drove off a cliff in California, fell 250 feet, and the car's all crumbled up. It looked like it was a Model Y. The family survived miraculously. It turns out that the father did it on purpose. At first, it looked like it was going to be intentional, how FSD failed or something like that and drove off a cliff. But no, they're charging and arresting the dad for intentionally driving off the cliff. But luckily, the family survived. But I was going to make a video saying that shows you how safe a Model Y is. If you look up Model Y safety features or safety ratings, it doesn't matter. Every association that tests cars ranks the Model Y at top. That's how safe it is. It's like the safest car you could buy today. And if falling off a 250-foot cliff and surviving is not a testament to that, then I don't know what is. I was going to do a video on that, but it was too short, so I didn't. I'll have to do something else. Yeah, the whole family survived. 2 kids, 4 and 7-year-old, and the wife and the husband, dad, 42-year-old doctor. I don't know what drove him to do that, but it was just insane. George, Paul Barron Network did a stream yesterday about wire saying it could bring down the market, including BC. Desperate, saying he's going to see another leg down. Very desperate, save face. I don't get it. A lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of bearish people out there. I guess I get it. People feel bearish, and people want to support their narrative of being bearish, right? And you see a lot of creators lean towards that. Some people are just, because they're just projecting what they feel, right? But I project what I feel, which is bullish. I've gone through too many cycles. I get angry thinking about the previous cycles where I became fearful, sold out, not bought more. And that's because I would be in much better shape had I just bought DC8 and HODL. It's really that simple. That's the ultimate strategy, and not just for me. Look at all the famous Wall Street investors, every single one, every single self-made billionaire. You ask them, what is your strategy? Their strategy is, I buy when other people are fearful. I buy when other people are selling. And then they buy, and then they hold. I mean, every single one tell you the same story. None of them said, yeah, I day traded and swing traded to $1 billion. No, every single one will tell you, I bought, no one knows what the market is going to do the next day or next week or next year, but I simply bought when other people were fearful. I bought a whole bunch of real estate, or I bought a whole bunch of Tesla, or bought a whole bunch of Amazon, or bought a whole bunch of whatever, when things were low, when times were harsh, and then I held it on till like 10, 20 years, 30 years later, and then they're all freaking billionaires. I mean, it's the same strategy. You can apply it to anything, but most people don't want to hear that. Most people don't want to listen to that because they don't have the patience for it. And that's why most people fail when it comes to investing. Midlife crisis can mess up minds and make people do suicidal things like drive out. No. It's mental health. Okay, something happened, something cracked. Midlife crisis makes you go buy a fancy sports car. Doesn't make you drive off a cliff. That's 2 different things. You wouldn't even survive if you jumped without a car. Yeah. Imagine if you just jumped off the cliff. Yeah, I'll just show you guys what it looks like. I still don't know how they survived. Okay, this is what a car looks like. After falling 250 feet, this is what the Model Y looked like afterwards. Okay, a crumbled shell. Okay, and a family of 4 survived. Think about it. 2 kids in the back, 2 parents up front, and they survived a 250-foot drop. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy, and I'm almost 100% sure that's a Model Y. It definitely looks like a Model Y. The handles are black, so it's a newer style. It's not an old Model 3 or anything. And it does look a little bit taller, yeah. So, yeah, I guess this is the car they drove. Most people don't talk about safety, right? Most people will talk about, hey, getting a Tesla for, for its range, for its looks, for its technology, for FSD or whatever. No one talks about safety. And Tesla, if you look at the crash ratings, is the highest. Most of these, like IIHS or whatever, when they test the Tesla, you know, not just the Model Y, any Tesla, it's always the ratings through the roof. They're the safest cars on the road today. Anyways, enough about that. Of course, you're going to face serious injuries, but, you know, at least you're not dead on impact. Like most cars, if you were in, I don't know what other car, I'm pretty sure 99% chance you'd be dead already. Silver Surfer. I'm not going to. That's a funny joke, and I'm not going to repeat it. Cup on Bad Sunshine says cup and handle forming. I can't see the chat. It's like cut off. On Ada. It could be. I don't pay too much attention to the patterns. People on Twitch. Well, like everything, the human element will make machines unsafe. I mean, yeah. Do you think we hit bottom? Honest opinion is wanted. I honestly think yes, but it's not a hard bottom. And the reason being, we have too many geopolitical and macro stuff that's still persisting out there, right? Can the war escalate? Yes. And if it does, it's going to bring more harm to Europe and the rest of the world. That could certainly bring markets down and drag Bitcoin down with it. Can the macro environment get worse? Can the U.S. start showing very bad economic data, showing that we're going to go into a deep recession and pull markets down and pull Bitcoin down with it? Yes. So those are certain possibilities. Can another project itself go under? Can Tron go under because Huobi goes under or something like that? Can another major project go under? Yes, there's a possibility. And if so, is it going to pull Bitcoin down? Yes. But outside something huge that's going to drive everything down, I would say we have formed that bottom. There's just no more sellers. Who's selling at this point? You know, the U.S. market has sold off for basically the last month, and Bitcoin didn't flinch, didn't move at all. And that's because after the FTX collapse and all the contagion spread, everyone that became fearful sold off, and now we're just again left with long-term holders, which is why the number of Bitcoin being held for a year or 5 years, 10 years, all-time high. So there's just no one left to sell. But if you have some major catastrophe, then yes, of course, the bottom could be lowered. But right now, I think we are at bottom and just consolidating. Why use dogs and meme coins? This is because Dogecoin started it with a sheep, and then everything else followed, copy that. John, I just explained it, so I don't need to explain it again. Tales from the Crypto W. I thought we would hit 10,500 BTC for bottom. It didn't happen. Do you think that we'll ever hit it? Safe to say we are not. Again, I just kind of explained that. It could happen if we have some geopolitical, macro, or another huge exchange or project go under. something huge, a catastrophe. Can it happen? Yes. But I would say right now, if we are just building and none of those things get worse, U.S. economy starts getting stronger as we get less rate hikes and the Fed becomes more dovish, as the war somehow gets better, or at least the supply chain issues and energy prices do not continue to rise as inflation gets better, right? These are things that will help global markets and U.S. markets and, you know, reinstill confidence in the market. And fingers crossed that someone like Huobi or Justin Sun is not going to ruin it by doing something stupid and collapsing. So hopefully that's also the case. Kelly Claw says, same results as driving my 1992 Ford Ranger off that cliff. I wouldn't recreate it. I wouldn't test out that theory. What happened to the 3.5 billion assets that was seized by the Bahamian authorities? They still have it. Although I have a feeling that most of the assets seized is probably like FTT tokens. So it's probably worth a lot less than 3.5 billion now. Jim Kramer says Litecoin is a waste of time. Your thoughts? Hey, I agree with Jim on that. If you're looking for a store of value, you go with Bitcoin. That's it. It's quite simply that simple. Now, as for Jim Kramer, his stance towards crypto has turned very negative, so can't say I agree with him. I just did a video about him a few days ago. But as for Litecoin, right, you might as well just buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a better store of value, and that's it. Well, it looks like the market's recovering again, so that's good. We started at like plus 400, went down to 200. Now we're almost back to plus 400. NASDAQ is gaining about 1% today, so that's good. Where's Tesla? Tesla's still down slightly, but way better than a negative 7% or 8%. So maybe they have found a bottom after hitting whatever that 102 mark. And Bitcoin and crypto hasn't moved. It's the same point as yesterday. Is RX available in Canada? Yeah. So their wallet is just, you know, it's a MetaMask competitor. They are, you know, a self-custody wallet, or it is a self-custody wallet, and they have a lot more advantages. There's so much. It's safer. There's like more built-in tools. I mean, there's just a bunch of advantages to the RX wallet, so check it out. Will Warren Buffett ever buy Bitcoin? Don't hold your breath on that. I don't know if he's ever go change his mind about Bitcoin. Most likely not. That's just not his thing. Just like the guy that was debating Pomp yesterday that I covered. Some people feel like it has to be physical to have worth. Like you have to buy something that you could actually physically touch to have any value, right? And some people will be stuck with that mentality forever, while others realize that pretty much everything is digital these days. Even dollars is digital. We are living in a digital world where streaming, for example, is not something you could touch, but the company is worth more than DVD or Blu-ray providers, right? Which I don't even think they exist anymore. So, you know, everything is digital. It's just a matter of time that everyone understands that. All right, guys, let's conclude. I mean, overall, today, not a whole lot of movement for crypto. Stock market looks like it wants to end in green. A lot of controversy around Huobi, so be careful. I just don't trust Justin. And at this point, I think Huobi is still fine. They have a massive amount of assets. It's not like a bank run is happening, but there's something going on there. And I don't quite trust Justin and what he's doing there. But be careful, everyone, overall, and stay strong because there's still a lot of FUD out there. But stay strong, focus on the future, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Since tonight is Friday, no stream tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.